Part of the Croatian islands in the middle of the Adriatic Sea, there is a small one called Lopud. With only 4.4 square kilometers, it only has one main street. It is an island full of history. It was owned by the Romans, the Catholics, and even the Nazis at some point. It has some of the most beautiful coast and water, beautiful sunsets and beautiful skies. I brought my skates not thinking too much about it, and the first good sign came on the wrapping paper for our groceries. So a little later on, I decided to scout a little bit the area, see where I can skate, enjoy the view. I knew that by the corner of this island there was this nice hotel, but I didn't realize how good it was, and oh my god, look at this. The most pristine marble floor, ready for me to skate. Plenty of space, right by the ocean. Certainly enough for me to have fun, practice my wizard moves. I mean, look at that floor. At that point, you can imagine, I was super excited. I was not expecting such a nice place for me to try some skating. So the time finally comes, and I'm thinking, well, I want to try this, but I'm sure gonna be kicked out after, I don't know, 5 seconds? So here's me testing the floor, doing the first moves, seeing if the floor is slippery in any way. And then I say, I'm gonna try my first wizard move. And this happens.
Oh my god.
I crashed with one of the tables, and in the process made a very loud bang. At that point, I was sure I was gonna get kicked out. It was a matter of seconds. So I decided to keep skating as much as I could before somebody showed up. The place is full of cameras, so I was pretty sure the people on top of the stairs were security and they were gonna kick me out at any point. I keep skating, trying my drills, testing the floor, and despite the giant fly going across the camera, eventually nobody came. So I was just there, having fun, trying 1-foot slalom, and trying some pivots. These ones I learned from Billy Arlieu, from his eccentric website. I tried to keep the pivot on the exit too, and this happened. Some transitions, you know, basic stuff to warm up. Then I go into some gazelles. You know, at that point I'm getting a little bit more into the wizard moves. Some more pivots. Some more gazelles. Simple stuff, nothing really fancy at that point. It was my first night. Still testing the floor. Some more gazelles. So at that point, security never came. And you can imagine how happy I was. How cool of a place. How much of a privilege is for me to be in such a small island, to have this perfect floor just for me. Here I try some Lion X. Not too bad. I wish I could lift the foot a little bit more on the backward transition, but you know, those who practice that move know how scary is the backward transition at first. It requires a clear lean and inside edge, which is the hardest part of the move, and I'm still working on it. In this one I barely lift the foot. One more try. This one came a little bit more fluid, and at that point I felt pretty accomplished. One more, but I was tired. The edges were not correct, so I decided to call it for the day. So back into the house. Yes, that box you see there is an ATM that was built into the apartment. We were not expecting that, and it was the source of many jokes. The next day we go to the other side of the island and get some nice tan by the beach. And yes, that's me playing with the fish. It was only when I saw in the menu that they offered barbecue ribs and fried squid that I knew I was in paradise. Another night comes and we did another session. This is like a mohawk to jump transition that I learned from Roller 666 Love. He does it a lot better. At that point, I didn't know how ugly they were looking. They looked really, really ugly. In my head, I was like, oh, this probably looks great on camera. But I was wrong, and after reviewing the footage, it was ugly, so I'm gonna be revisiting this trick a little bit later. Here I'm trying to jump and do a gazelle ride after the jump. This requires a clear lean before the jump. And when the lean is not correct, then it doesn't work at all. After scratching my head in confusion, I decide to try again, be conscious of that lean, and this one came out good. And in the next one, I'm moving my arms in a weird way for some reason. In the next day, we decide to chill at the house. This is our front. You can see the coast is right in front of us, a couple steps away, and it's the most pristine water ever. That's me waking up with a coffee and saying, "Good morning." That day we collected a lot of stones, classified them by color, and made some nice arrangements and took pictures of them. Another night comes and I'm first focusing on some S moves, and believe me, I'm trying my best to lift that foot on the backwards transition, but if I don't touch the floor and I don't know where the floor is, it's quite scary. This was work in progress, and I think I do them better now. Here I'm focusing on my weak side. Here I'm doing a forward close lion, trying to do a 360, so trying to chain the first transition and the second transition, starting with a two-footed last transition, just to make sure I don't fall. Then progressively trying to lift my foot and do the whole move with one foot, focusing on a good lean on the backward transition. That's the hardest part. At that point I felt very accomplished, and I could even throw a little jump on the last one. It is interesting how you start your sessions very hesitant, and by the end of them you're doing crazy stuff. And remember when I said, I'm gonna do my first wizard move? And this happened?
Oh my god.
In that moment, I had my skate tool in my pocket. And this is how it looked the next day. You can see where the tool was and a massive swelling around the area. I always thought it was because of this fall, but no, it was this very moment.
Oh my god.
After 5 days, this is how it looked. It didn't hurt anymore, but there was a massive bruise in my leg. Next session, and I'm doing something new that I haven't seen around, which is to take a turn as I do a moonwalk. I want to do it more in a wizardy way and lean more and have more speed, but I'm testing the waters with this one. The next one comes good, but I still want more speed, and it looks a little bit clumsy still. Next I'm trying some of my favorite, which is the grapevine, of course. I love that move. Trying to chain some 360s at the end or some pivot. It's a great move and opens your skating a lot. Finally, I revisit that transition move that I mentioned that looked really ugly before. And the key here is to transition while lifting your foot, and I felt really happy about that. So another session ends, and that was our last day in Lopud. Beautiful place. I mean, look at that view. As I said, I felt so privileged that I could be in such a nice place and skate every night here. One night even a person from the hotel came and I thought they were gonna kick me out, and it was just to take videos of me. Can you believe it? With that, our journey came to an end. It was such a magical place. We certainly felt happy there. Magical sunsets, best food ever, and the most beautiful nights. Time to say goodbye to Croatia, and we will for sure come back one day.